lotus position, just something that's nice and comfortable. You can elongate your back and try and think about lengthening through the crown of the head. So we will be walking around for a good part of class today. You're always welcome to look at your neighbor, kind of see what they're doing. But for now, if you're comfortable, you can allow your eyes to close. Just kind of thinking about elongating through the spine and beginning to notice the natural breath. So taking a few inhales, a few exhales. Just kind of getting situated and seeing where your mind's at, what the state of your body is today. So not too much pressure, no restriction here, just a natural breathe. Once you've noticed a bit of the natural breath, then we can deepen your breath a little bit. We'll practice what's called an ujjayi breath, which is a nice calming, cleansing breath. So you'll inhale through the nose, and as you exhale, you're going to think about making a raspy sound at the back of your throat. So a lot of people will call it ocean breath or the Darth Vader breath. So it sounds kind of like a so it doesn't need to be too audible, just enough for you to hear. That nice deep breath will help you elongate the spine, helps kind of clean any dirty energy out, anything that's no longer serving you. It's just a good way to tap in to start with your practice today. Go ahead and blink the eyes open. I'm going to gently add in some neck stretches here. So dropping the right ear to the right shoulder. Feeling a nice stretch in that side area of the neck. We'll inhale through center. And exhale, dropping the opposite ear over. And trying to maintain that nice deep breath we just practiced. So, for many of you that haven't practiced yoga, the breath is the most important part of practice. Draw your head back through center. You can go ahead and move your head on your own, just kind of doing a half circle here and there. But when you drop your head back, be careful you don't drop your head fully back. You want to keep a little bit of engagement in your chest. So we're just starting to warm up some of these smaller muscles here. And as I was indicating earlier, the most important part of yoga is continue breathing. So if you ever get yourself in a position and you realize you've lost your natural breath, try and see if you can back off that position a little bit and find the breath again. So by doing so, that helps us clear our mind, that helps create some space. That'll really allow us to have the best part of our yoga practice. Returning our head back through center. We're going to go ahead and walk out the left fingertips and then drop the right ear over to that right shoulder one more time. So I'm trying to mirror you guys. So we'll drop that over. You'll notice that this extends the stretch a little bit further from the top of the skull all the way down to the arm. And continue trying to send your breath to those tight spots, those tight areas. Drawing our head back through center. Walk the opposite fingertips out this time, and this time the left ear comes to the left shoulder. A nice gentle stretch here. Inhaling, coming back through center. And release those arms, and we'll take the right arm, crossing it across the body. So a nice basic stretch if you guys participate in sports at all or anything back from, school days. This is a nice shoulder stretch, opens up the back, the spine. We'll inhale, open arms wide, and then exhale, left arm crosses over, stretching into that opposite deltoid. And if your feet ever get uncomfortable, you can extend them out in front of you. If you need a little break, you can always just place them out, the soles of the feet a little bit further away too. Inhaling through center. And this is a fun one I like to do with corporate clients. So taking my right arm, I'm going to bend my elbow at the top of my head and see how far down my hand can go down my back. The next tricky part is going to be getting the opposite fingertips around and trying to make a grasp. So if you can't make a grasp, that's just fine. It's going to be different on every person, and one side is going to be a little bit easier than the other. So that in mind. You do find that fingertip connection. Again, try and think about lengthening through the crown of the head. So you're opening through the spine here, and you're also opening the chest, opening the collarbones here. Beautiful. Give me one more full deep breath here. And exhaling, releasing those palms down. You can do some gentle wrist circles out in front of you, kind of release that grip. Excellent. And then we'll draw the left elbow up and overhead this time. And then seeing again if we can meet those right fingertips on the back side. So you'll definitely notice that one side is going to be a little bit more imbalanced than the other. Just making a gentle observation of that. You don't need to make any judgments of yourself. That's totally normal. Those are the things we work on in yoga. That's why we call it a yoga practice. Give me one more breath there, lengthening through the crown of the head. Beautiful. And you can exhale, releasing that out. You can roll out the wrists if that's uncomfortable at all. We're going to move into our first pose, butterfly pose. So drawing the soles of our feet together. However close or however far away from your groin is comfortable is fine. So today I have mine about 10 inches away. Sometimes you can play in closer. You can also push those soles further out. So always modify the practice for what works for you. So once you get your feet situated, I want you to think about rooting down through your sit bones and then lengthening again through the crown of the head. So that'll open your shoulders forward. Beautiful. And if that's enough of a stretch for you here, you should feel that on your inner thighs, your groin. That's fine, you can stay here. If you'd like to deepen it a little bit, hinge forward with a long straight back first, and maybe dropping down to your forearms, maybe just grabbing a hold of your toes. You'll notice that really helps to deepen the stretch into your groin muscles here. I see some faces that are noticing that's tight, so if you need a modification at all, let me know. The farther out you slide your feet away from yourself, that will give you a little bit extra mobility as well. Yes. Continuing to breathe, so maybe this pose is just screaming at you. You haven't stretched into any of these muscles in months, days, years, whatever it may be. Just continuing to breathe. In yoga, I like to talk about sending the breath to the tight spots, the tight areas. So think about breathing into those hips, breathing into that space that you're holding on to, and finding a nice, gentle relaxation. Do about 2 more breaths here. As you're ready, be coming back to a neutral spine, so just letting go of your grip. I'm going to scoot back a little bit here, but we're going to lengthen the right foot forward and draw the left foot into the inner sole, the inner thigh of our right foot. So you want to think about squaring your hips towards the front of the room, so squaring everything off towards me. Again, we'll lengthen through the crown of our head, and then as we exhale, I'm going to walk my fingertips out, trying to find my toes, my ankle, my knee, wherever you can get closest tonight. Beautiful. And then once you get here, again, continuing with that breath, finding some nice release in the hamstring. This is also a great stretch. It goes into our kidneys, so this is a good detox stretch. Helps to flush everything out of there. So hopefully you guys are drinking a lot of water today. If not, drink a little bit extra after you get home from class today. That'll help with the whole detox process and help you stay hydrated. Maybe about 3 more breaths here. Trying to think about lengthening forward. If your body allows you to go a little bit further, try to see if you can maybe extend your grip a little bit closer. On your last breath, finding an inhale, we'll draw our core and rise ourselves back up. Lovely. You can go ahead and switch out that foot, extend it out in front of you. So this time the right sole of the foot will be planted at the left inner thigh. And again, check off with yourself, make sure your hip bones are squared forward. Lengthening through the spine first, and then we'll walk those fingertips out, maybe finding the toes, the ankle, the knee. And again, like in the other position we practice, it's often common to have one side that is going to be a little bit easier or a little bit more challenging than the other. Just making an observation, making note of that for your own practice, because one day when you do get all the way to your toes, you'll think about your very first yoga class and say, okay, that did work, I can get there now. So that's always the goal. Give me about 3 more breaths on this side. Think about releasing the hamstring, allowing the head to hang forward. At the end of your last inhale, go ahead, rising back through center. You can swing both knees around, and we're going to stack ourselves in a tabletop position. I'm going to demonstrate sideways so you can see what I'm doing. I have my hands stacked beneath my shoulders, my knees directly beneath my hips. So you don't want to be too close so you're hunched in. Just a nice steady tabletop here. And then from here we're going to add in some gentle cat-cow. So for cow, we're going to drop our belly down. On an inhale breath, my gaze comes up, my tailbone comes up, and then rounding through as I exhale for cat. Beautiful. So again, pressing our belly forward, bringing our gaze up, and then as you exhale, rounding through the spine. So continue with these 3 actions, moving with your own breath. So inhaling to lengthen, exhaling to round the spine. We're starting to wake up some of those large back muscles, some of those core muscles, all the muscles that connect in between our rib cage. So if you find a position here and anything feels extra tight and you're really enjoying the stretch, feel free to hold on to it for a moment. This is your yoga practice, so anything that you need, any adjustments that you need to make, you are free to do so. If you need help finding a modification at all, please let me know. Go ahead and give me a few more cycles of this breath, moving on your own. And one more full cycle, and we'll meet at a neutral tabletop position. Excellent. So again, making sure everything's nice and squared off. We're going to add in some very gentle core work next. So drawing my right hand and my left toes up off the mat. So you have opposite sides here. You'll notice instantly this begins to test your balance. So think about hugging your belly in tight to your core and grounding everything down. So grounding through your left hand and your right knee here. Beautiful. So you'll notice you start to wobble a little bit. That's just fine. That's how we build muscle memory. And then we're going to think about creating a long, strong line with our extensions here. And as we exhale, we're going to hug everything in. So a nice little core work. Inhale to lengthen. Excellent. And don't worry if you wobble, it's just fine. Exhale, hug everything in. Inhale to lengthen. Last time here, exhale, hug everything in. Beautiful. Inhale, planting that palm back down, returning the foot to the ground. Excellent. This time we'll take our left fingertips long and our right toes back. Again, you'll notice this changes the balance here, so you might need to resituate. Think about hugging in that core. It'll keep you nice and strong. And as we exhale, hug it all in. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale to lengthen. Last time, hug everything in. Inhale to lengthen. Beautiful. You can return that right knee this time. Keeping the right hand planted, we'll take our left fingertips up and overhead. So a nice full body stretch here. And as you exhale, you're going to thread the needle. So that left hand is coming all the way beneath our right side. You're dropping down to your shoulder, your temple, your earlobe. If you guys are on different sides, that's totally fine. We'll do both sides here in a moment. This is a kind of funky little position, but it's a great twist for our spine. Any sort of spinal twist like this helps to neutralize the spine, helps to replenish our organs, and it also helps us to detox. The twists are one of my favorite parts of yoga. Using the strength of your hand that's pressing into the ground, press yourself back up. Excellent. Go ahead and give me 2 more cat-cows. So inhaling, dropping the belly, gaze comes up. Exhale, rounding through the spine. One more time, inhaling to lengthen. Exhale, rounding the spine. We'll meet in a neutral tabletop. And we're going to do the opposite side that you just twisted to. So I know everybody was a little bit different. But drawing those fingertips up into the air first, opening through the chest. And then as you exhale, simmering down, threading the needle coming down to your right shoulder, your right ear, your right temple. Excellent. You can allow that right hand to gently rest on the ground. Really want you to think about breathing into your belly here. Give me 2 more deep breaths. As you exhale, pressing yourself back up to neutral. Excellent. We're going to draw our big toes together and widen through our knees just a little bit. And then I'm going to sink my hips down and back for child's pose. Beautiful. So you can allow your head to rest on the mat if it reaches. You want to think about dropping your hip bones all the way down to the floor. It's totally fine if they don't get there. So this is Balasana, or child's pose. This is our resting pose for all of yoga. So when we do start getting up and moving a little bit more, we're going to need to take a break. This is your resting position. And never feel worried that you have to come down here. This is a great stretch for our low back, great stretch for our shoulders. Also a good time for reflection. So today, since it's many of your first times to yoga, I'll invite you guys to set an intention or a resolve. So that can be as easy as making it all the way through class today. You can also set your intention to breathe all the way through class today. Or maybe there's something else you need to clean off your slate. Anything like that. Just check in with yourself, set an intention now. And I'll have you double check on those at the end of the class, see how you did it. As you're ready, pressing yourself back through tabletop. Excellent. I'm going to walk my hands back so I come to standing on my knees. If that's uncomfortable on anybody's knees at all, you can always double over your mat. It's a little yogi trick, so that'll give you a little extra cushion. But from here, might be tricky, might need to stagger a little bit. I'm going to walk my right foot out to the side. So, yeah, you guys might just need to come forward and back a little bit. We'll have to play around with spacing. All right. You can have whatever foot position's comfortable for you here, whether it's 90 degrees, 30 degrees, whatever's natural for you. I'm going to draw my hands up to my hips so I can pay attention with where I'm moving here. You can draw your hands all the way up to a T as well. And then as you exhale, I'm going to reach over to my right toes. So just dropping my hand down. The left hand comes up and overhead here. You'll come this way. You'll drop this hand down and overhead that way. There you go. So that should be a nice stretch on the inner groin here, a nice stretch on the lower back. And the biggest stretch for many of you is probably going to be right in the rib cage, those intercostal muscles. Oftentimes we don't do any stretches during the day that are like this, and those muscles can get really, really tight. And remember, if anything gets tight, remember to keep breathing. Sometimes you'll catch yourself holding your breath. We'll inhale back through center, arms come to a T. We're going to go the opposite way this time. So I'm going to plant my left palm, my right fingers are high. If that right foot wants to stay on the ground, that's just fine. If not, you can also draw those toes up. So that'll kind of modify the challenge a little bit here. You'll notice as soon as you lift those toes up, you're using those glute muscles, those transverse abdominals. Excellent. And as you inhale, coming back through center, that's just a nice little reverse stretch of that. You can draw your right leg back in. I'm going to extend my left foot this time. So this is called Parigasana, or gate pose. Doesn't look much like a gate, so I'm not sure how they named it that. But inhaling, arms to T. And I'm going to reach up and overhead, reaching for those left toes this time. Continuing to breathe, trying to think about breathing into the ribs, opening up the heart here. Beautiful. Inhale through center. Go ahead and plant your palms, draw that back foot in, and we'll meet in a tabletop position. Excellent. So from here, we're moving into downward facing dog. So if you've practiced yoga before, you can go there now. If you've never practiced yoga before, think about spreading your weight evenly through all 10 fingertips. And then I'm going to curl my toes under my hips, scoot up and down. So I'm kind of forming a nice V shape here. So you don't want too much weight coming down in your shoulders. You want to think about melting your heels down towards the floor. So this should be a nice lower back stretch. And it's definitely going to be a little bit challenging too because you're upside down. Walk, step, or float your feet up to the top of your mat, so walking your feet up to your hands. That'll allow us to come into forward fold here. So you can have a nice deep, heavy bend in your knees here. Just trying to reach down, maybe find a connection with your ankles, with your toes, with the floor. And again, continuing to think about breathing. A lot of times these hamstring muscles can make us forget that anything else is supposed to be worked on. All right, so we're going to inhale the crown of our head forward for a half lift. So I'll do that sideways for you guys. So you can see where my head is going straight forward. I have a nice long, flat back. And then exhale, I'm just going to release everything back down and allow my head to hang heavy. All right, on your next inhale breath, we're coming all the way up to standing, so swan diving up. We often open our hands all the way wide and our fingertips are the last to rise. Beautiful. We're coming all the way back down to that forward fold. So this is a reverse swan dive. My arms open wide and I forward fold, releasing down. Beautiful. Again, breathing here. We'll inhale the crown of the head forward again. So long, straight back. Exhale, releasing down. Beautiful. Swan dive. We're coming all the way up this time. Fingertips are the last to rise. So once you get up here, you can think about this as a full body stretch, creating as much energy as you possibly can from fingertips through your toes. Beautiful. And one last time, coming all the way down. Forward fold. Beautiful. Go ahead and plant your hands. And then walk, step, or floating yourself back to downward facing dog. I'm going to come around and check form for a little bit. So if you get sore or tired, you can drop your knees down. I just want to make sure everybody's doing this in a safe fashion. You guys look like you have great dogs. You can go ahead and bend one knee then the other. This is called walking out the dog. You'll notice this translates the stretch from one hamstring muscle to the other. So just deeply bending into the right knee will stretch the left hamstring. Deeply bending the right will stretch the left side.
I'm getting more calf than hamstring.
You're getting more calves? That's a pretty good area for you to be into. Safety. So give me a little bit more bend in your knees. And walk your hands actually. Put your hands down. Yep. Further out. And then thinking about just micro bending your knees and releasing those flows. So it should be a good calf stretch as well.
Yeah.
But you should get that a little bit higher too. How's that feel? For the calf. It's definitely a pretty solid calf stretch as well. You can also think about scooping your tailbone up towards the ceiling a little bit higher to create a higher V point.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So maybe that could be a little bit something to work on. All right, sorry guys, I've had you up there for a while. Let's see. Where do we come down to? All right, so you can take your right toes high if you're in downward facing dog. That's gonna look like three-legged dog. So my right toes are up towards the ceiling. If they don't get all the way up there, that's just fine. Then you're gonna exhale, drawing that foot all the way through, planting it between your hands. So my right foot is now between my palms, and I can drop my back knee down. Excellent. So this is called low lunge. Face that. Excellent. So from here, drawing your hands up to your hips, you can find a nice gentle rock back and forth here. This will start to open into the groin muscles, into your psoas muscle. That's going to have a lot of control over your low back tightness and everything you've got going on there. So it's just a nice gentle rock, continuing to breathe. Nothing too challenging. You can do a little self-check as well. You want to make sure your knee is never coming forward past your ankle. It looks like most of you guys are good at 90 degrees. All right, we're gonna draw our hands through heart center. So this is called Undulate Mudra in yoga. I'm trying to do both variations of the terms. And for this side, I'm gonna take my left elbow over to my right knee. So just a nice gentle twist, not too much balancing involved. If your knee is a little bit too high up there, you can drop down to your bicep, tricep. So a nice twist here. You should feel a nice twist from the base of your spine all the way through the crown of your head. All right, inhale back through center. Lovely. You can plant your palms, stepping back that right foot to the tabletop position. All right, and pressing our hips up and back for downward facing dog. So from here, our left toes go high, reaching up towards the ceiling. And then as you exhale, swinging that left foot through, this time planting it between our palms. And then you can go ahead and drop that back knee. When you're ready, we'll use our core to draw ourselves back up. And then again, finding a nice place within our hips, we're just going to find that nice gentle rock on this side, opening into the psoas, the outer hip. Especially with you guys sitting all day long, I bet these muscles get nice and tight even if you don't realize it. So these will help for some of your standing stretches in just a bit. We'll inhale our hands through center here. And then again, finding that twist on the opposite side. This time my right elbow's coming to my left knee. So again, you can swing down to your tricep if that's a little bit more accessible for you. So you should feel that nice deep twist from the base of your spine all the way through the crown of your head. And you'll notice this tests your balance a little bit. Just continuing to find your breath. Even if you wobble and fall out, that's just fine. We'll inhale, coming back through center. Lovely. And you can plant those palms, stepping yourself back into a high plank position. So warming up the core here, you'll notice that this strengthens our shoulders a little bit. So sliding your shoulder blades into place on our lower back. And then exhale, we're going to press back downward facing dog. Give me 2 breaths here. All right, we'll inhale our right toes high one more time. So reaching up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, swinging that foot through, planting it between our hands. This time you can keep that back foot lifted. Engaging our core and using our inner thighs will rise all the way up. So Anjaneyasana, full Anjaneyasana. Beautiful. And your hands can rest at your hips if that's comfortable. The full pose allows them to extend up and overhead. If you reach up and overhead, think about continuing to drop the shoulders away from the ears. So you might need to adjust. Beautiful adjustments. Excellent. All right, we're going to find warrior 2. So this is a big part of the normal sequence. So my back foot's going to pivot to the short edge of the mat. And my long foot is going to stay extended out in front of us with a 90-degree angle. So you guys will all pivot your back foot over to this red wall over here. Front toes are going to be facing forward. Beautiful. Yes. arms up and down to a T. Nope, you were right the first time. Oh, yeah, there you go. Go ahead into a student, play around with new student. There you go. Alright, so this is warrior 2. Allow your shoulders to drop away from your ears. We'll inhale to find a reverse stretch here. So my right fingertips are going to reach up and overhead. My knees don't move at all. My feet stay exactly where they're at. Inhale forward, coming back to warrior 2. So our arms are to a T, front knees bent. Beautiful. All right, I'm going to keep my right foot planted here. We're going to play around with a little bit of balance. So you guys are looking at me like I'm crazy. So pressing a little bit of weight into that back foot. Oh, I'm going to come all the way forward and see if I can find a nice warrior 3 pose. So you can give yourself a little bit of a skip hop with that back foot, but keeping your weight in your right foot, grounding down to the floor here. If you only get your toes like 2 inches off the ground, that's fantastic. Just notice where you're at for your first day of yoga. Excellent. And knowing that those muscles wiggling around in there, that's how you build muscle memory, that's how you build strength. Lovely. Go ahead and release that back foot down. You can roll out your ankles if that was tough at all. Lovely. We'll take our hands up and overhead and repeat that on the second side. So we're going to come all the way down first. Forward fold. You can walk your hands out to a high plank position. And then again, pressing your hips back, downward facing dog. This time the left toes go high, reaching towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, swinging the left foot through, planting it between our hands this time. Again, keeping that back leg lifted. I'm going to engage my core first and use my inner thighs to rise all the way up. So I'm coming all the way back to standing. Beautiful. Excellent. Releasing the shoulders away from the ears. Excellent. Lovely. So again, pivoting that back foot, this time finding warrior 2. So you guys will be facing the wall, the beige wall this time. About a 90-degree angle with that back foot. Hips are square towards me. And in warrior 2, we have our hands extended to T because it is representative of the hand behind us being a part of our past and the hand in front of us being part of the future. So with our solid stance right in the middle of this, it's embracing the present moment. This is a kind of fun stretch with a little bit of extra meaning as well. We'll inhale, reversing that stretch. The left fingertips reach up and overhead. Exhale, returning to T. Beautiful. Again, we're going to come into that balance on the left side this time. So if you need to take a little cheat with that back right foot, grounding down to my left toes, and see if I can spring all the way forward, coming into warrior 3. Beautiful. And again, you'll notice that the balancing is different from one side to the other. If you would like to modify this pose for your shoulders, you can drop your hands down to airplane, or you can also drop them all the way back behind you. So that'll also change the balancing aspect here. And if you wobble, that's just fine. That's how we build muscle memory. It's how we build balance, how we build strength. If you have a wall or a partner next to you, you can just grab onto them. Just try not to knock everyone down. I'll give you another second here. All right, exhale, releasing that back foot down. You can roll out the ankles if you need. We'll take a full body stretch, reaching all the way up and overhead. Swan diving forward, forward fold here. Enjoying a nice hamstring stretch. So if you need to deeply bend those knees, that's fine. Allowing your head to melt down towards the earth. Give me 2 more full deep breaths here. All All right, swan diving, coming all the way back up. Fingers are the last to rise. And then once your hands get all the way to the top, we'll drop our hands through heart center. We're gonna do a little bit more core work before we wind down today. I think we're probably gonna go over 45 minutes. Does anybody need to leave like right at 5:45? I think that was our original time. Okay, well I won't go over too much, but we're gonna find chair pose. So this is gonna be a nice fiery pose, especially for the colder winter days. This is a great one for strength and warming up. So I'm gonna sit my hips all the way back and bend a nice deep bend into my knees. So almost if I had somebody come and push my chest forward, I'd fall all the way back. You want so much weight in your heels and your sit bones that if I came and pushed your shoulders forward, you might just wobble on back. So thinking about keeping your core in tight here. This is like the wall sits from gym when we were little. Not fun, but a great warming up pose. Beautiful. We'll inhale, press our palms all the way up. We'll do one more of those, sinking our sit bones down. Weight is heavy in the heels here. Are engaging our core. Excellent. We're going to sink our hip bones a little bit lower, and then we'll come all the way down to the ground. Perfect. Hop back up here. All right. So playing around with a little bit of boat pose. I'm going to drop my shoulders so they're back behind me and find a nice grip with my hands on my knees. All right, so if this is enough of a challenge, you can stay here. If you would like to deepen this a little bit, you can draw your feet to a parallel angle up off the floor. Either option is fine. You can also extend them up. Can't talk that way though, so I'm going to leave them here. So with your hands about knee length, you can release your grip. And we're going to do just 3 boat poses. So a nice flowing boat here. So I'm going to drop my shoulders and my knees down and then come back up. All right, inhale, exhale to rise. Inhale to lengthen, exhale to rise. Give me one more. All right, we'll work on those more later. So coming all the way onto your back. You can hug your knees into your belly. Find a nice grip with your hands on your knees. And feeling free to roll from side to side. You can do some circles with your hips here. I'm guessing by the giggles, I imagine we need to do some a little more core work. We'll practice that. You can draw your hands to opposite knees and draw some circles on the ceiling. Moving them one way at first and then moving in the other direction. Coming to a place of stillness. You guys might need to peek up to see what I'm doing next. I'll try and describe it good. So I'm going to be all the way down on my back. I'm going to cross my right ankle over my left knee. Again, so if that's enough of a stretch for you, you can stay here. If you'd like to deepen the stretch, I'm just going to take my left toes up off the mat and find a nice grip either on the back of my thigh or the front of my shin. So where you should feel this stretch is in the right side in the glutes. So a nice stretch for the butt muscles, the lower back. And you can play around with this as well. So if you'd like to rotate that leg from side to side, you'll notice that deepening the stretch a little bit. Is there anybody not feeling this stretch in the glutes? Remember to continue breathing. The breath is really what helps us relax in yoga. You like to play around with extending the left foot up into the air and translate the stretch a little bit more into your hamstrings. You can also point and flex that toe and see how that changes the stretch a bit for you as well. As you exhale, drawing the left sole back down to the mat. You can uncross the legs. We're going to switch up the side, so this time the left ankle will cross over the right knee. That's enough of a stretch for you on this side. You can stay here. Now just peeling those right toes up off the mat. Finding a grip on the back of your shin, maybe on your thigh. And then again, finding the modifications that work for you. So rolling maybe from side to side, rocking the hips back and forth. And then if you would like, extending that right foot up into the air this time, bending and flexing the toes. Fantastic. All right, last couple breaths there. You can exhale, releasing that foot back down to the mat, uncrossing the legs. You can go ahead and release the feet all the way forward, so coming down fully flat on your back. And we're gonna add in a little thumb stretch before we end up today. So this is called banana stretch. So if you can picture a banana, you'll probably be able to figure it out. We're gonna start moving to the right. So the core of our body is gonna stay where it is. We're gonna try and reach our right hands and left hands up and overhead, and then also working the body over so the right toes and the left toes are going towards the right side of the room as well. So you can think about it like a smiley face, you can think about it like a banana. It also helps to sometimes cross over, let's see. So if you're on the right side, I would cross my right ankle over the left. Nope, I just watched everyone do that. Other way around, left ankle over the right. So you'll notice that will deepen the stretch, so you're reaching all the way over to that beige wall. This is a great stretch to open up the intercostal muscles, to open up the rib cage. So if you do just a gentle stretch like this in bed before you get up in the morning, I guarantee it'll totally help the change of your day. It'll open up those muscles, it'll open up the mind a little bit. So is there anyone not feeling this side stretch? You're not. No, you should be on your back. You're keeping your hips to the left. So yeah, you're stretching the arm. All right, everyone rolling back through center. You can give me a full body stretch, so reaching those fingers up overhead, reaching those toes all the way down. And then we'll find our banana stretch on that opposite side, so reaching the fingertips over to the left, walking the toes over to the left. And this time we'll cross the right ankle over the left to deepen that stretch. So again, if there's anyone that doesn't feel this, let me know. The reason I say this is a great stretch for the morning too is after we sleep, everything gets nice and tight. We hold all our muscles in close. This helps find some space to breathe. Any tightnesses in the body allow for illness to build up there, tightness, injury. So we really like to focus on opening into these darker spaces in yoga and finding some light. Give me 2 more full breaths here. And as you exhale, drawing everything back through center. You can release your hands all the way down to your hips, so they're just resting gently at your side. And we'll add in one little twist before we end in Shavasana tonight. So bending the knees, drawing the soles of the feet up to the mat. We're just going to gently release our knees over to the right-hand side. So you'll find a nice stretch here. This translates from the base of your hips all the way up to the crown of your head. If you draw your hand to your belly, you can feel sort of your life force energy, your breath. I like that to end my practice. It's kind of a nice check-in with myself. If you would like to translate the stretch all the way up into your skull, you can also gently relax your gaze over the left shoulder. Beautiful. Doing 3 big full breaths here, breathing into the belly, trying to expand those muscles. On an exhale, using your core to draw your knees back through center. Drawing our gaze back through center as well, and we'll drop the knees over to the left this side. And And your gaze can come over the right shoulder. Again, twists are great to help us detox. They bring fresh fluids to the spine. They cleanse our blood. They help to neutralize the spine if you're doing any sort of back bends or more impactful activity. Give me 2 full deep breaths. On an exhale, drawing those knees back through center. And in yoga, we always end in Shavasana. It's also called corpse pose. So you'll just lengthen your legs all the way out, allowing your heels to connect with the earth. Your feet can fall out to either side, so you don't need to be stiff like a board. You can allow your hands to come out to your side and palms can face either up or down, whichever's comfortable for you. I want you to think about finding a nice, comfortable position. This is actually how we absorb our yoga practice. So the stillness at the end is kind of like a treat, but it's also the most beneficial part of our class. So I'm going to come around today with a little bit of aromatherapy. It's a lavender and peppermint blend. If you guys don't want that, just place a hand on your belly and I'll skip right over you. I'll also be walking you through a full body relaxation to kind of end class, and I'll leave you for a few moments in silence at the end. So beginning at the toes and the ankles, relaxing any tension you feel here. Releasing any tension from your calves and your knees. Releasing any tension from your quads, your thighs, your hips. Taking a full breath in and releasing any tension in your belly. Releasing the rib cage. Taking another full breath in, releasing the chest, the collarbones, the shoulders. One more breath, relaxing the arms, the elbows, the wrists. Taking a gentle swallow to release the throat, the tongue, the space between our eyebrows. And allow your gaze to close and just enjoy the next few moments in silence. Begins to wander, just returning to the natural breath, recognizing the natural flow. back to the body, back to the present space in this room. You can add some gentle movement to your toes and your fingers. Just wiggling them gently, ever so slightly. You can add some rotation to the wrists and the ankles. Just assuring to yourself that you're awake. We'll take the arms all the way up and overhead for one more full body stretch here. Creating as much space as we can possibly consume here. As you exhale, rolling over to whichever side is calling to you today. So bending the knees, making a gentle cradle for the head, and we'll just pause here for one moment.